some more people to us today as we begin the sixth and the final session of our workshop. We would like to see more people coming in, so we still wait for another few minutes. It's about 3:59, and we will start this at another maybe around 4 o'clock, 4 minutes, 4:02, I think. So we're still looking at some more time. We'll be sharing screen, and we'll be sharing again the presentation slide of the workshop before we begin. Okay, it appears that we have something covering the screen. Yes, there you go. Yes, Iluza, I have not forgotten about the group photo. All of us are going to be there, but it's going to be fastest first.
Sir, over to you, Sir Jacob.
Thank you. So a warm welcome once again to everyone who's joining us today for the last and the final session of the National Workshop on Teaching of English. It is my privilege to be welcoming you once again to the 6-day National Online Workshop on Teaching of English, organized by the Center for Pre-Service Teacher Education, PMM and MTT, School of Education, Nehu, Shillong, Meghalaya, Altai, Meghalaya Chapter, Shillong, Meghalaya, St. Matthew's College, Shillong, Meghalaya. It's a wonderful day to be back and to be joining all of you today as we are going to have another wonderful session of learning with our resource persons. So if you can take a few minutes to guess what has changed in my setup, you will find out that I have lost power supply and I am working solely on my laptop battery. I can lose power anytime. So without further ado, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you valued attendees, and especially to our distinguished resource person today, Dr. Sonita Kongwir. She is an associate professor in the Department of English at Shillong Commerce College, Shillong. And she is going to talk about testing and evaluation. This is something that many of us, I think, maybe some of us will dread to do, because if you are like me, I enjoy teaching, I enjoy covering the transaction, I enjoy transacting the curriculum, I enjoy covering the syllabus, but when it comes, I also enjoy setting questions and giving questions to students, but I really don't enjoy correcting scripts. That is an honest confession. But today we're going to learn how to make testing and evaluation more interesting, not only for the teacher, but especially for the students. And how are we going to do that so that it becomes practical, it becomes efficient, it is effective. It is also something that will be a process of learning while students are still attempting the test and the evaluation. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over the rest of this time to Dr. Sonita Kongwir for her presentation. Over to you, ma'am, for the presentation. A warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we're looking forward to having a wonderful time of learning with you. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you, Jacob. And I'm sorry for troubling you these last few days.
It has been a privilege and a joy. Thank you so much for working with us.
Thank you. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. We have had a very fruitful 5 days interaction, and it has been very informative. And I hope that what I will share with you today will go a long way in helping us, face what we do in class every day. Thank you. Shall I share the screen now, Jacob?
Yes, ma'am. Your screen is up, ma'am.
And then I go to?
From the beginning.
Slideshow.
Slideshow from the beginning.
From the
Slideshow
beginning.
and
Yes.
From the beginning.
Yeah.
Done. Okay. So I will be speaking on testing and evaluation of language skills. I know testing and evaluation sounds very cut and dry, but it's not that bad really. So teaching, learning, and testing. Before we test, we first have to teach and the students have to learn. And it is only after teaching and learning that we test. So teaching and testing are inseparable components of language study. What the student has to learn constitutes the corpus of what we have to test. This is what Lado said. Lado is, he is the main man of testing. He wrote the Bible of testing. So tests will always have an influence on how we teach, on how the teachers teach, how the students learn. So this effect of testing on teaching is what we call washback. So, the definition, basic definition of washback is that it is the influence of testing on teaching and learning. The effect could be positive. It could also be negative. It could be at the micro level, where it affects the individual students and teachers, and it could be at the macro level, where it affects, the society and the educational institutions. And these terms, evaluation and assessment and testing, in this modern world, they're being used synonymously. And they are very, very important, parts of teaching and learning. So consequently, the results of tests is crucial in language testing. So what is testing and evaluation, in language teaching? It is where students learn and teachers teach. It provides a framework of knowledge and capabilities selected to be appropriate for a particular level. So when we test, why do we test? So a test is nothing but a type of measurement. It implies the presentation of a set of questions to be answered. This is a very, very, basic definition of a test. When we talk of test, what comes to mind? A room where you have students sitting apart from each other with your answer script and question paper in front of you and your pen and your pencil. So what distinguishes a test from other types of measurement is that it is designed, to show a specific sample of behavior. When we test, when students, answer a particular question paper, we expect the answers to be homogeneous. So it's designed to find out a specific sample of behavior. So for a test to be considered a good test, it must have validity. A good test must have reliability. So what is validity? Validity refers to the degree to which a test can claim to measure what it claims, to measure. Okay, so validity refers to accuracy. When, for example, a test of physical strength has nothing to do with natural intelligence, has no natural connection to intelligence. So if you want to do a test on intelligence, asking a student to do how many push-ups will be an invalid test, because as you have just said, physical strength has no natural relation to intelligence. And a test to be reliable, it has to be, if a test is to be reliable, it has to give the same result even after repeated attempts. That is the reliability, part of a test. But for a test to be reliable, it has to be valid. So this is a picture of students sitting in the classroom, doing a test. Why do we test? But before we test, we have to teach, and students have to learn. So we have to find out whether the instruction has been successful. Have we taught what is to be tested? Were the materials for instruction at the right level? Have all language skills been emphasized equally? What points need reviewing? Should the same materials be used next year, or do they need some modifications? These are the questions that come whenever we test. And this is where washback comes in. Washback, as I have told you, is the effect of testing on teaching. What happens when a student has to sit for a test? It might have many implications. He might be happy to face the test. He might be stressed out. Why happy? Because the instruction has been successful, because the materials that has been taught will be just right for the test. So these are the different things that come into play when we talk about testing. So after a test, we will find out whether these materials that has gone into testing the student, were they appropriate? If not, should we make some modifications? All these come into play when we talk of testing. So how can tests help students? So both testers and testees benefit from a well-designed test. For a test to be well-designed, you have to have simple language, you have to have good time management, it has to be, in keeping with what the students have learned. You have to have good test rubrics. So in order for the test to be well designed, these are some of the things that we have to follow when designing a test, whether they will be, they will be helpful and feasible for the students. Testing encourages and motivates students to learn the subject matter. If we have to face a test, we have to first study. We cannot attempt to sit for a test without studying. So it encourages and motivates students to study the subject matter. It enables the teachers to increase their effectiveness by making adjustments in their teaching to enable certain, groups or individual students in the class to benefit more. We all know as teachers that in a classroom, we have different levels of students. We have the high achievers, we have the mid-level achievers, we have the low achievers. So we have, as teachers, we have to see that each particular level, we adhere to certain principles to see that the test is optimum, gives optimum, help to each group of student. So therefore, for each level of student, we have to tailor our teachings in such a way that all students benefit. Tests also evaluate the progress and achievement of learners. We come to know how we have progressed in what we have been taught only if we are tested. Tests also evaluate the effectiveness of the teaching materials and methods used. So for teachers as well as for students, tests have a role to play. So what is evaluation? Now, as I have said, evaluation and testing, they are used synonymously. So in modern educational practice, evaluation is synonymously used with tests or examination. What is evaluation? It refers to the systematic gathering of information for the purposes of decision making. Now, let me give you an example. When we go for when we appear for an exam for a job, so we sit for a written examination and we score very high marks. But even after sitting for such an examination, we still have to face a personal interview. And you will find that there are some students, okay, who have done very well in the written examination, but they do very poorly, in the personal interview. And so the one who has got very less marks in writing, less marks in writing and more marks in personal interview gets the job. And we think it's very unfair. So this is what evaluation is. A person is evaluated for what? For the purposes of decision making. Why is this person better? From the way he carries himself, from the way he answers the question, from his awareness around him. So this is what evaluation is all about. It is concerned not only with the measurement, of learning, but also determines the value of that learning. Okay, so it is a process that allows one to make a judgment on the desirability or value of a measure. So at the end, we come to this statement. Evaluation considers both qualitative and quantitative aspects of a situation to move towards a goal. See, this is evaluation. When we talk of tests, we talk in terms of numeric, 40 on 100, 80 on 100, 2 on 5, 25 on 50. But when we speak of evaluation, we talk in terms of grades. Oh, it's outstanding, excellent, very good, average, below average. Okay? Now, when we come to the language skills, we have different types of tests in which we test the language ability of a particular student. So there are 5 types of tests. We first have the proficiency test. What is a proficiency test? It measures an individual's abilities and skills in a domain or subject to know how well he or she has learned, understood, and internalized the related concepts and principles. Here, the word is internalized. Such a test in language, for example, it may assess a student's skills in reading, writing, listening, speaking, or vocabulary. So a proficiency test is intended to measure a person's command of a language regardless of their background in that language. So what is the proficiency test? It's designed to measure people's ability level in that language, regardless of any training that they may have had in that language. So it's command and not training. It is an evaluation of how well a person can use language to communicate in real life. It is based on a specification of what candidates are able to do in the language in order to be considered proficient. So, examples of a proficiency test is the TOEFL, or the test of English as a foreign language. This is the best known and the most commonly used English proficiency test. Now we come to the achievement test. What is an achievement test? It is a test which tests the development of a skill or a knowledge. The most common type of achievement test is a standardized test developed to measure skills and knowledge learned in a given grade, usually through planned instruction. So the test that we have for our learners in the class, that is what we call an achievement test, such as, training, classroom, and all that. So achievement test attempts to measure what and how an individual has learned, namely like, your present standard of performance, what you have learned from the course that has been taught to you. So this achievement test evaluates a learner's understanding of a specific course or study program. It measures students' ability to repeat the language elements that have been taught or learned in a given grade or level. The content of the course in these tests is directly related to language courses. For example, in the proficiency test, it's your command of the language that is tested. But in achievement test, it's what you have learned in a particular course that has been taught to you that is tested. Now we come to a diagnostic test. When we talk of diagnostic test, what comes to mind is, going to the, to a lab to get, something of that you're not feeling well and you get tested. But then when it's used in language testing, diagnostic test helps the teacher and learners identify problems that they have with the language. So we have these progress tests, okay, given during the course that can help as a diagnostic test, to pinpoint, to identify the problems that a learner has when learning a language. It helps the teacher to identify, the areas of strengths and weaknesses of the learner and what they can do to remedy that. So this diagnostic test is intended primarily to ascertain what learning still needs to take place. So when we talk of achievement test and diagnostic test, we can say that diagnostic test is the opposite of achievement test. In achievement test, we test what learners know. In a diagnostic test, we want to know what they don't know so that we can rectify that and, give them the required input so that they gain knowledge in that particular area of weakness. Now we have the placement test. A placement test is a test used to determine which course a learner should attend. It is given for the purpose of assignment to appropriate courses or classes. Like a test given at the end of, of the school year so that you are promoted to the next class. So a placement test is usually given to a student entering an educational institution to determine, the knowledge or proficiency in various subjects for the purpose of assignment, to appropriate courses or classes. This test ensures that students will enroll in a course that best suits their level of ability. So a placement test is given to determine the academic or skill level of a student, especially a new student, so that you know where exactly to place this student, so that he will be in the same, level of ability. Then you have the direct and the indirect test. When we talk of direct test, these direct test items, they use authentic assessments, for testing. For example, when you want to test a person on the speaking skills, you go to interviews and presentations. When you have to test them on their writing skill, you give an essay question. For reading, you give them any test using real reading materials and making the student respond to questions verbally and or in writing. And for listening, we simply follow oral directions, to complete the task. So when for direct testing, as I said, these are the the items that you use when you want to test the student on his language skill, ability, or capability or capacity. Okay. When we talk of indirect tests, we assess knowledge without authentic application. Okay, so for example, when we talk of indirect testing, if you want to, get a learner's knowledge of pronunciation, what do? You simply ask them to match words that rhyme with each other. So you're indirectly asking him to find out what how a word is pronounced by asking them to match pairs of words which rhyme with each other. That is a test for pronunciation. Indirectly, you're testing that person for pronunciation. So examples of indirect tests will be multiple choice questions, cloze items. Cloze items, it's a particular type of component where, you give a paragraph and then, you delete some words and the students are expected to fill in the blanks with meaningful items. Okay. Then you have paraphrasing. Paraphrasing means explaining something using different words. And you have sentence reordering, changing, the order of the sentence, active to passive and so on and so forth. Then you also have this we use every day, in our day-to-day teaching, the formative and summative assessments. What is formative assessment? So formative assessment is ongoing and flexible evaluation in order to give feedback. In a nutshell, we can say that formative assessments is, they are quizzes and tests that evaluate how someone is learning throughout a course. Okay, how someone is learning throughout a course. It focuses on individual performance and needs, growth, not grades. So for example, you have in-class discussions, weekly quizzes, homework assignments, presentations, surveys, short presentations, of course, group activities, projects. So these are examples of formative assignments. Now we come to summative assignments. This is course evaluation. It's a highly structured, formal process used to evaluate a student's long-term information retention. Okay, so it comes at the end of the course. So when we talk of summative assessments, we talk about quizzes and tests that evaluate how much someone is learning throughout a course. See, formative assignments, how a person is learning, throughout a course. But summative, how much a person is learning throughout a course. So examples of formative assessments will be end of term or midterm exams, reports, end of class exams, and final presentations. Okay, now we go to the 4 skills of the English language. What are the 4 skills of the English language? We start with listening, we have speaking, we have reading, and we have writing, and necessarily in that order. Before we speak, we first have to listen. We listen, we hear, we imitate, and then we speak. And then we can read only after we speak. And after we speak, as I said, we read, and then comes writing. So these are the 4 skills of language learning. The LSRW skills, in short. So what is listening? It's the ability to decode the meaning of an audio string. Speaking is the ability to encode thoughts and concepts into oral form. When we use the word decode, what does decode mean? To convert something into intelligible language. And encode is to convert something into code. So one is listening is decoding, speaking is encoding. You encode, what you have been listening. Okay. Then what is reading? The ability to decode the meaning of a written string. Writing is the ability to encode thoughts and concepts into written form. So that is why listening precedes speaking and reading precedes writing. You have to listen, to decode what you listen in order to encode that knowledge and, speak it out. You have to first read and then use that knowledge, decode it, and then write. So these are the language skills. On any given day in a person's life, this is how we manage our skills. We spend 45% of our day listening, 30% speaking, 16% reading, and 9% writing. So we spend, the most part of the day in listening. Second to that is reading, then reading, then writing. So now these types of language skills, we have reading and listening, and we have writing and speaking. Reading and listening, they're what we call the receptive skills or input. Receptive skills or passive skills. And we have writing and speaking. They are the productive skills or the output. They also call the, the active skills. Okay. So speaking and writing are known as productive skills, as they both, require some form of language output. You speak, you write. Okay. So the productive skills, writing and speaking, they also call the active skills. The content is that, it's either verbal or written. Whereas reading and listening, the receptive skills, they're referred to as passive skills because the skills involved, they produce nothing that can be interpreted by anyone except the person that is using the skills. Reading, it aids in improving grammar and vocabulary skills, while listening aids in understanding a language better. So all these, when it comes to the skills, may I request all our participants to please keep this in mind, because I have 2 activities lined up, and both activities are related to the skills, to all the 4 skills. Okay. Okay. So why is listening important? Listening is a fundamental component of communication skills. When we talk of skills, when we talk of the 4 skills, they become integrated, to make communication easier and more effective. So listening is a fundamental component, of communication skills. It is an active process, So why is it an active process? Because when we listen, we make a conscious decision. Okay. Students who develop better listening skills are more likely to feel more confident, more comfortable in their surroundings, and they're prepared to succeed in school. It can also, when you're a good listener, it helps build relationships, because a person who can listen, they can engage in conversation, and their peers, look at them as, people who are interested and open-minded. Therefore, they feel closer to them, approachable. So when we listen, we make a conscious decision to listen and understand the message of the speaker. Unfortunately, most of us are poor and ineffective listeners. When I say this, what I mean is we hear, but we do not listen. There is a big difference between hearing and listening. We hear, all the time we hear, but all the time we do not listen. Okay, so each skill also has sub-skills. again, I request all participants to please, take special notice of these sub skills. It will come in handy for your, for your activity later. So for listening, I have only listed 3 sub skills: listening for gist, listening for specific information, and listening in detail. What is listening for gist? This happens when we listen to get a general idea about a topic. When we listen, this is also what we call skimming. Then we listen for specific information. This is when we listen so that, we can get something, we can discover a particular piece of information. This is what we call, scanning. Then we have listening in detail. Listening in detail is when we listen very closely, when we pay attention to all the words and we try to absorb as much information as possible. So these are the sub skills of listening: listening for gist, listening for specific information, and listening in detail. Now, there are certain problems related to listening. What are all these problems? There is uncertain comprehension. When we don't understand something, we lose our attention span. We we find it difficult to listen. Sometimes we miss words, concepts, and instructions. Sometimes, we have this, we are diffident. We do not have the confidence to ask for repetition when we miss out on certain instructional, matter going on. Then there is the familiarity with local speech. Sometimes we don't understand what people are saying because of the accent, because of their vocabulary. And, so we miss out on what that person is trying to communicate. Then the speed at which, speech is imparted. I think I'm also a very fast speaker. So if there is any problem, please tell the organizers that they will get back to me. All right. And then we also have hearing difficulties. All these, they contribute to listening problems. What are the solutions? Well, in order to solve these kinds of problems, related to listening, it requires our active participation, not just reception. We have to engage with sounds and words. We have to ensure that we are aware of the subject of the lecture. When you attend a lecture, you probably get, the topic beforehand. So take the trouble to at least read up some literature on that particular subject. It will be easier for you to listen to that lecture. Then read key vocabulary and do background, research. Mental repetition. Nothing like this. You should never feel shy to ask for clarification. Listen to radio, television, and other media. I have learned so much by listening to the radio, to television, and to other forms of media. So just don't hear, be an active listener. Now, we come to the most interactive skill, the speaking skills. Speaking helps us express ourselves to others. Okay? It helps a person grow socially in his personal and professional life. It encourages people to communicate with each other. It helps create understanding. It helps avoid conflicts. So if you have a good grasp, a good knowledge of speaking skills, this will help you in your day-to-day relationships. When do we speak? it's easy. Everyday conversation, class group discussions, group work, seminars, presentations, one-to-one sessions, question answer sessions in talks and lectures. And teachers, I think we speak all the time. These are the sub skills of, speaking. What do we have? Pronunciation. By the way, let me share something with you. I never knew that it's pronunciation. I came to know this only in class 10 when my class teacher, an Irish nun, almost had a fit when I said pronunciation. It's actually pronunciation. So this is a sub-skill of speaking. How you pronounce words, stress, rhythm, and intonation. Using the correct form of words. When we use homonyms are words having different spellings, but same pronunciation when we use these words, So we have to use, the correct form of words. Word order, fluency. Using appropriate vocabulary, grammar. Language register. What is register? Register is the particular type of language you use in a given situation. For example, when you go to buy vegetables from the market, you're not expected to use Shakespeare's English. You simply say, how much is this? That is register. You use different registers in a hospital, in a restaurant, that is registered. A select language for a select situation. Then you have summarizing, then you have paraphrasing. Then you have another sub-skill, building up an argument and using interactive strategies. I just have this of President Obama. He's considered one of the best public speakers in the world. So, what are the problems related to speaking? As in listening, lack of confidence is one. Many of us, I find that many students, they are not at all confident to stand up in the class. Okay, so a lack of confidence inhibits us from speaking out, and this inhibits our grasp of the speaking skill. Then the lack of knowledge of presentation skills. So what we do in class, we call up a student and ask him to give, say something about yourself, in 3 sentences. That is an example of a mini presentation. We do that in the class. It will help the student gain confidence. Then, we are uncertain about, timing, vocabulary, interaction. And then we find it difficult to decode non-verbal information. What are the solutions? Take every opportunity to speak. Ask questions in order to be able to pronounce correctly. It's what I do. Listen to the BBC, CNN. You will learn the Queen's English. You will learn American English. And you can choose what you prefer. Repeat. Observe native speakers, if possible. I mean, it's not possible, so, go back to television. Now we come to the reading skills. Students need to develop reading skills to enable them to comprehend texts in English, to obtain what they need to deliver a response, to enhance their writing and writing style, to develop their knowledge of language structures, to develop their vocabulary, register, and purpose. When do we read? Lectures, presentations, tutorials, coursework, research, the internet, Blackboard, course document, at work, at home. What are the sub-skills of reading? You have comprehension, understanding the plan of the text, making predictions, guessing the meaning of unfamiliar words, skimming and scanning, understanding the organization of the text, note making. What are the issues in reading? Speed, as in listening to, it's the same. Decoding new words, vocabulary. We find it very difficult, to have a dictionary in front of us. We don't even have one, some of us. Comprehension, relevance, volume. Too much to read. What are the solutions? Reading is an active skill, so improve your skill. Read smart, read for gist, skimming. Read for specific information. Do not stop to look up every word. Decode the text. Don't stop to look at every word. Try prediction. Use tools to help develop vocabulary. Textual, online, so many tools. Now, let's come to the writing skill. What is the importance of writing skill? Writing, it's the main method of assessment. There are strict methods and conventions in academic writing. We listened to Christina the day before yesterday regarding academic writing. Then we have various formats, styles, functions, depending on subject area. In order to fulfill the essential skills for examinations, we have to enhance our writing skill. And it is in writing that our errors and mistakes become obvious. When someone makes a mistake while speaking, sometimes, we just gloss over it. But when it's in writing, it becomes very, very obvious and we cannot overlook it. So when do we write? Coursework, exams, tutorials, lectures, group work, presentations. These are the sub-skills of writing. Correct spelling, word order, knowledge of expressing a particular meaning in different grammatical forms, from present to past to future tense, the use of synonyms and antonyms. I find this very, very helpful in explaining words in the class. When I have to explain a particular word, I simply say, oh, it's the opposite of this word or that word. Okay? Writing strategies. Be able to structure a text into paragraphs. What are the issues in writing? Lack of knowledge of key language structures, sentence, paragraph, text. The differences between style in native country. Register and purpose, note-taking, paraphrasing, and academic conduct. What are the solutions? Use learning development group resources like classes, appointments, workspace for support. Engage in the process of writing for academic purposes. Be aware of academic conventions, student handbooks, referencing guide, library resources. Disclose learning needs, for example, dyslexia, for future support. This is your first worksheet. This is your first activity. This is the main skill. Please note down the sub-skills of each skill, whatever you remember, and then you can post it in the chat box. But Jacob, can we give them some time?
Yes, of course, ma'am, we can give them some time.
You tell me when the time is over.
Sure. We can give them 1 minute. Let's see if they can finish it within 1 minute. Otherwise, we'll add another minute to it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we have Theodora saying listening is for gist, listening for gist and the sub-skill.
Very good.
Okay, Helen Melikal, listening for gist. Okay, we are getting a lot of inputs coming in really quickly. Listening, sub-skill, skimming. Then we have specific information, listening in detail, scanning. Okay, again, just specific information and so on. Okay, a lot of people are talking about just specific information and details. Speaking, we have pronunciation, we have writing, spelling, or word order. Writing, we have synonym and antonym. Then pronunciation for speaking. Specific information, I think this is for listening.
Yes.
Listening to top-down and top-down, bottom-up processes.
Yes, very good.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking, we have pronunciation, stress, rhythm, intonation.
Very good.
Yes. Okay. So again, we have word order, we have antonyms, synonyms. So apparently our attendees are getting things right, it looks like, from
Yes.
their feedback. Yeah.
There
We
are
have
no
reading, we have
better-
comprehension.
Yes, there are no better learners than teachers, you know, Jacob.
Yes, I think it's only after we have graduated from college that we start learning.
Yes, I'm learning so much in these 5 days.
Of course.
I think you know why, how.
Yes, when you start preparing to teach others, you start learning yourself.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. Right, so we got writing, correct spelling, paraphrasing, summary, rhythm, intonation.
Oh, very
Okay.
good.
Yep.
So I'm glad that they're getting all this.
Mm-hmm. So we have skimming, scanning. I think we can go into the next activity. A lot of them are getting it right.
Yes, yes. Next activity is after some time. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now we are, we're living in pandemic times, and we are adapting to the new normal. I think this is the question that is there in each and every one of us here right now, not just here, each and every teacher. How do I ensure the learning part is happening in online distance learning? Isn't this the question that is plaguing each and every one of us? When I take an online class, I become very stressed because I'm wondering, are they hearing me? Can they understand? If I ask them, have you understood? I get silence. And this really, it really scares me. So this is the question that, is probably at the back of the mind of each and every teacher at this point of time. We're at the crossroads now. Education is changing. And how do we cope with this? And especially when it comes to teaching the skills, because when we teach skills, there is nothing like face to face where we all learn together. Now we are really facing a lot of challenges, and it is very, very difficult to teach language skills through online education. So this is what is happening now. COVID-19 learning goes on by being remote. I mean, it's a very, very depressing picture. I feel very, very sad. Again, curious to know if your students are developing the desired knowledge and skills. Again, all of us, I'm sure, this is always at the back of our minds. We wonder, how are they coping? Are we going about this the right way? So these are the challenges of teaching in pandemic times. Teachers face various challenges in language teaching. Why? Because we have to integrate technology. And then, and we have so many problems, especially in this part of the world with, technology. The integration of technology in teaching in the coronavirus pandemic situation, this is a headache that each and every one of us face. We have to implement online teaching, and some of us, as Jacob knows very well, are technologically challenged. So it becomes a big headache. And why is this a headache? Because of the digital divide. Not just digital divide, the great digital divide. What do I mean by this? There are so many of our students who have no access to internet. They don't even have a smartphone. And so when we take online classes, they miss out on all of this. Some of them, are from very remote areas. They tell me, Miss, we have to climb a tree in order to get connectivity. So this is the main problem, the digital divide. No connectivity, no access to internet, not even a smartphone. So with the shift from face-to-face to remote teaching, this is what we are facing now, the problems of teaching the language skills. And this is the question always, would there be connectivity issues? Will I be able to take my online class today? Sometimes in the middle of the class, we have to stop. And your question is, would all the students be able to attend the class? How can institutions address the challenge of keeping students connected during COVID-19? This is the biggest challenge in language teaching because, language is not a subject. We don't teach it as a subject, we teach it as a language. We teach language for communication skills. And how can we communicate if we are not face-to-face with each other? This is BC, before Corona. This is how we studied together. We did library work together. Look at the body language. So relaxed, smiling, so happy, sharing. So attentive, teacher is speaking. This is what is happening today. This I have to read out. I found where I was going through some things, and this is what I found. And to me, this is so sad. So I wanted to share this with you. There was this one time when we had to write our own plays and poems and perform it in front of the class. I felt alive, and the creative side of me came out. BC, before Corona. See, in a language classroom, this is what we do, We perform, we act. It's all about theater. And that is how students imbibe all that we teach. You cannot teach skill just by writing in the blackboard. You have to act it out. And this, I find this depressing and sad because this is what our students are missing out in this, in this pandemic time. So you see, this is what we're missing out on, and this is what the students will miss most in a language classroom. In where I teach, I have a friend of mine, this librarian, she would tell me, whenever I hear laughter from a classroom, I know they're having English. So English is fun, actually. Teaching English in the class, there's nothing like teaching English, because when we teach English, we are basically teaching the skills of the language. So this is the next, activity, describing language skills and sub-skills. So look at the following terms for language skills and the 3 possible descriptions of the term. Choose the correct option from A, B, or C. Jacob?
Yes, ma'am.
Can they see everything? Because there are 5, I think.
Yes, we can see. We are seeing 1, 2, 3, and 4. We are seeing summarizing, interactive listening, oral fluency, and paraphrasing.
I think there are 5, no?
Yes, but I think we have lost the 5th column. Okay, we're getting answers from many people. They're saying 1 is C. For now, there's a lot of people saying 1 is C. Yes, so we are seeing only 4 columns, 4 rows, sorry.
So what do we do?
The answers are 1C, 1C.
Okay.
Summarizing is giving the main points of the text.
Correct,
yes.
Correct.
And 2 is A. For some people, 2 is A. Interactive listening is listening, responding, and giving feedback.
Oh, very good, very good. I'm a very good teacher, I think. Okay, what
or
about
somebody has been listening really well.
Yes.
A lot of people are saying 2 is A, so they're getting it right. Okay, 3 is B. 3 is B. Oral fluency is speaking naturally without hesitating too much. Is that correct?
What are the other options? Speaking without making any mistakes, speaking naturally without hesitating too much, speaking without considering the listener. What do you think is the correct answer? You tell me.
So many people are saying 3 is B.
B, 3.
3 is B.
Speaking naturally without fluency. Yes, I think that should be it.
You're not sure. You're not sure, ma'am.
How do you know I'm not sure?
I think you've designed a very difficult test for yourself.
Speaking without making any mistakes, that would be accuracy. So this
correct.
will be correct. Speaking naturally without listening to, that is fluency.
Okay, so we have paraphrasing. 4 is A, but because we cannot see the entire screen, can you please
okay, you tell me what to do. I'll stop sharing.
Okay. No. Don't stop sharing. Just click on escape.
In my laptop.
On your laptop. Yes.
Okay.
Click
All right.
escape. I think we should
go
be. Yes. Now go down. Oh, so what has happened is I think your screen. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Very good. I think no. Do that again. Do that again.
Okay.
Yes. I think we'll be able. No. Go up. Yes. Go up a little bit. Scroll up a little bit. Scroll.
I think there are. Yes.
Again a little bit. Now what you can do is if you can click in the middle of the screen of your slide and pull it up. Click in the middle, pull it up. I think yes, that image will go up, and then when you resume a slideshow,
there you can get it.
Yes. So let's go back to your slideshow. A lot of people are saying 4 is C, but some are saying 4 is A, and others are already answering 5, and they're saying 5 is B. This is great. A lot of people are making the effort to read the screen, even though it is not very clear. But they are.
I think I'll keep it here because I feel scared in case they don't get it. Okay. So what did they say about 4?
4 is A. A lot of people are saying 4 is A.
Excellent.
Good. And then 5 is B. 5 is B, but some are also saying 5 is A.
Paraphrasing is not A. Paraphrasing is not A.
Oh, you said excellent. I take it back.
Sorry. I take it back.
Okay. So what is the correct answer to 4?
C.
What would that be?
Wait. Even I'm having problems looking at the screen. Paraphrasing is use phrases to say something instead of using complete sentences. No. Finding another way to say something.
This is interesting.
Yes. Finding another way to say something when you cannot think of the right language. Yes, this is the one. C. 4 is C.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Now I'm going to take the role of Amitabh Bachchan here and say, are you sure? Lock kiya jaye.
Lock kiya jaye, yes.
Okay. So 4 is C. Dear attendees, 4 is C. What is 5? What is the answer to 5?
Scanning is reading a text quickly to find specific information.
Okay, a lot of people are saying 5 is B and some are saying 5 is A.
No.
So the correct answer is reading.
To get the general idea
yes.
This one is skimming. This one is scanning.
Okay, so scanning is to find specific information. Skimming is to find the general information.
Skimming is general information. Scanning is specific information.
Okay, great. Wonderful. So B is the correct answer. All right, over to you again.
So now I go back to, I will go back to slideshow.
Not from beginning, but from current slide. Click the one in the middle.
Okay.
From current slide. Yes. Click there.
Okay.
You're correct. Good. Wonderful. Okay. We're doing great.
I'm learning, Jacob. Okay. Now this is activity. I have just given this so that teachers, they can use this for the students. This is an activity for the teachers to use in the class, not for you to use in the class. This works best if learners, I cannot see, you don't have the screen. This works best if learners are given a theme, role play, students get into pairs. When student A is speaking, student B should write down what they are saying and vice versa. When they have finished the conversation, they should check what each other has written and compare the two sides of the conversation together. You can then ask students to perform their dialogues in front of the class or to swap with other pairs. This you can do in the class. This is for all teachers, to do in the class, to help students hone their listening skill. For speaking, This is what we can do in the class, okay? Each student may be given 1 minute to speak about something. So give them, you can copy it down, give them a short paragraph to read and ask them to report back. You can give them a topic card. Let students read the topic question and speak about it for 60 seconds. You can conduct interviews, mock interviews. You can have role play. This to help students enhance their speaking skills. Now for reading. It is important to read to the students, but it is also important to listen to them read to you. Students like having someone appreciate their developing skill. So what can you do? You can play vocabulary games. This will help students learn words and improve their reading skills. You can assign a book to students every week. Let them choose their own book. After a stipulated time, the students and the classmates, they can read the summary of the book, and the teacher should emphasize to the students that it is not homework, it is fun work for them to enhance their reading skill. Writing. Students are given a series of pictures just as they were for oral composition. They are given a time limit and told to write as much as they can about the pictures. Or they are shown a picture sequence and told to write about it. Writing reports. I'm sure teachers, most of us, we do this in the class. Okay, this is something that I wanted to share. This is the UN policy brief, August 2000. And the title of the article is Education During COVID-19 and Beyond. Preventing a learning crisis from becoming a generational catastrophe requires urgent action from all. It is our duty to see that somehow, we manage to see that our students, they learn everything, no matter how difficult it is at this point of time, at this, this particular time. And all this I have quoted from, from that brief. Reimagine education and accelerate whatever online in teaching and learning. The massive efforts of government in a short time to respond to the shocks to education remind us that change is possible. We should find every opportunity to find new ways to address the learning skills and bring about a set of solutions previously considered impossible to implement. So we have to work together so that our students, they get the benefit of what we can share with them. So, as teachers, what do? We have to teach students to learn, communicative skills, okay? In the present day, the communicative approaches to language teaching, have brought with them a focus on real life language use. When we teach students how to speak, we have to teach them how to speak in context. And for that, we have to integrate the 4 skills of language learning: how to listen, how to speak, how to read, and how to write. These 4 skills cannot be taught in isolation. We have to teach them in integration with each other. This, this particular slide reminds me of Ma'am Bamon's, class session yesterday. What did she say? And I quote her: "The language classroom is a talking classroom." Just look at these pictures. There is so much of activity, so much of communication. And this is the best place where students can learn, the 4 skills of language learning. They will learn how to speak. They will learn how to write. They will learn how to read, and they will learn how to listen. They're always talking to each other. And when they talk, they also listen. When somebody is talking, someone else is listening. Sometimes they share by writing and drawing certain things. So this is the best place to learn, the 4 skills of language learning, the physical classroom. So I hope and pray that very soon we will be back to our physical classrooms, and let it be, a very dynamic classroom where we can teach the language skills in its best way and optimum way of teaching. Thank you for your time and your patient hearing. And if you have any questions, I'm here. Thank you. Jacob.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thank you so much, Dr. Sunita, for your presentation. And you have questions indeed, and I will be putting them across to you. We have covered a lot of ground on testing and evaluation. Not an easy topic to talk about, because there are a lot of technical aspects of testing and evaluation that we need to look at, and we have to go in depth. And so in a span of 1 hour, it is not 1 hour and a half, it is not very easy to cover all the important aspects of testing and evaluation. And so we have about 4 or 5 questions from our attendees. I will put them across to you before we go on to discussing other important issues related to testing and evaluation. So the first one is from Sridevi Tripuri. She says, under what type of tests writing competitive exams come? According to you, what type of test is a competitive writing? I mean, competitive exams are.
I think that will come under academic writing.
Academic writing, okay. So, all right. So we will say, Sridevi, according to our resource person writing competitive exam comes under academic writing. I hope that will help answer your question. Then again, now we've got one question from Rudy Lingdor. He asks, would you recommend an open book test for online assessment?
I'll tell you, I mean, in my opinion, I think an open book test is very, very difficult. You will not know where to look. So it would be better for you to prepare something and write the test on your own steam. Because open book, I think it's much more difficult, than, writing from your own, body of knowledge, what you have studied, what you have internalized, on that particular subject, I think. Because you will not have time, to look through. Mm-hmm. So it's better to prepare and then write.
Okay, if you are a teacher who enjoys torturing people, you will definitely give your students an open book test.
Yes.
And say you have 3 questions and you have 1 hour to answer them. Here you are. You have your textbooks. Open them. I've done that. I mean, not that I'm a bad teacher, but sometimes out of sheer love for my students, I allow them to look at their text, and none of them have been able to finish the class test because they're busy looking for answers.
Yes.
Okay, so this is another question from KL.
Oh, Jacob, by the way, that is where skimming and scanning comes in, open tests.
All right.
Open book test.
So if we have taught them well, they will be able to find the answers very quickly.
Yes.
Okay. So this is a question from KL Nagaraju. He says, listening and speaking skills are not tested as much as reading and writing skills.
Yes.
Shouldn't we be giving proper weightage to testing all the skills? I mean, this is a very pertinent question. The receptive
Absolutely.
skills.
You remember that slide, where I had given you on any given day where we have, like 45% is on listening, and yet, reading also very less, and yet, speaking, and yet, these 2 skills are the one where we give least importance to. We concentrate on writing and reading, and we totally neglect listening and speaking. If you do not listen, how can you read? How can you write? Mm-hmm. You see? Right. So that is what I'm saying. We have to integrate the skills and not teach them in isolation.
I think the way we can learn how to write and how to speak is by learning how to listen and how to read. So in some of the
Yes.
ways, the skills that helps us to receive inputs are in fact the most important skills. But because,
Yes.
as you have said, that since we can hear and we can see, so we think that we know how to listen and we know how to read.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that is something that we need. So
Absolutely.
as language teachers, we need to be careful about this. And
Yes.
especially, I think even literature teachers can also learn from this, that they need to teach students how to read and how to listen when reading of texts are being done. Okay, this
Yes.
is a question from, I'm looking for questions again. Okay, this is from Manasi Maharana. How to deal with the barriers of effective communication in case of differently able students? Now, this is again a question that keeps coming. How do we address the issues of students with special needs? So how to deal with the barriers of effective communication in case of differently able students?
Yes, I think when we talk of there are different types of, differently abled problems. Okay. So when we talk of differently abled students, I think, when it comes to teaching the skills, there is really no difference in how we teach them. But then now we have special teacher educators, educators for differently abled people. So maybe they can give a better, answer to this. But, I have come across, we have students who are differently able, but then like, as long as it's not, hearing and all that, I think we teach them in the same way. And then one thing is that the only problem with our system is that we have very large classrooms. And then in order to teach the skills, we need activities. It becomes difficult to manage a class of 50, 60, with activities. So maybe we can think of, alternatives to this, so that, like the learning skills are taught in the classroom itself. Because we do not teach the skills of listening and speaking, actually, only reading and writing. That also, in a very haphazard manner, you can say.
Okay, I think we have been fortunate to a certain extent that we do not have many differently able students in our
Yes.
colleges. But
Yes.
I think that has also caused us to be complacent. We have not prepared ourselves well to receive such specially able students. It was only about, I think, a year ago or 2 years ago that we started thinking about making preparations to make our colleges in, what you call, uh, inclusive education ready, where we can have students from different spectrum, from different areas, and with differently able capacities coming in. And so I think it will require teachers to also undergo special training, which we have done a little bit to a certain extent at our college, how to address students with special needs. Then we also need to have special tools. I mean, we need to have the right technology, we need to have the right gadgets. We need to have a special computer that will help people who cannot hear to see. We need to have the Braille system ready. We need
Yes.
to have a lot of tools. And to a certain extent, the government is encouraging colleges and schools to have these things in place. But at the end of the day, we teachers also will have to go the extra mile to prepare
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
But then, yes, our curriculum also has to be designed in such a way that it targets these particular aspects of teaching differently able students. And we don't have that at the moment. So this question by Manasi Maharana is a very pertinent question that we
Yes.
need to look
Very.
at, and we need to keep on coming back and looking for answers to it. So in the meantime, we do not have a perfect answer, Manasi. We hope that your question will keep on reverberating in our minds, and we will keep on looking for answers to this question. For the meantime, we will go on to the next question by Temlal Dubey, BEO Amba Bohona. What is the difference between assessment and evaluation? Interesting question, looks very simple, but could be very tricky. What is the difference between assessment and evaluation? If final assessment is called evaluation, then why is it called summative assessment? Very interesting. What answer do you have to give to this question?
Well, assessment and evaluation, as I said in my presentation, now they use synonymously. Okay. So, but like assessments, nothing but semantics, right? You see? So evaluation looks, like when we talk evaluation, we talk in terms of grades. We give it's it's qualitative. We say good, bad, average, above average. Assessment, it's almost, the same as, evaluation. We assess somebody, we take, it's like weighing in a scale. So when we talk of formative assessment, it's nothing but evaluation. Formative assessment, evaluation throughout, ongoing, flexible. Summative is at the end of the course. So these words, they're used synonymously. There is hardly any difference in how they use in this, present modern situation. We just use them synonymously.
Okay, I think there'll be somebody out there saying, I think that there's a difference, but I'm just going to play the devil's advocate.
Yes.
I think that assessment and evaluation are two different terms, and you have formative assessment throughout the year, and you have a, summative assessment at the end. But an evaluation could also come. I think evaluation is more like examinations or tests that we can use. But again, as you've said, it appears that many people are now using those two terms synonymously to mean almost one and the same thing. So again, Temlal, we hope that our answer has been able to give you more reason to look for clarification. And if you're not happy, let us know. We will try and look for the answer and maybe put it across to you if we can find your email somewhere. So we'll do that. Okay, this is a question from Meg Pungrop. Ma'am, what strategies would you suggest to use to test listening?
When it comes to, when listening tests, we go to the sub skills. Okay. We make them read. We make somebody read. We make somebody listen. All right. And then afterwards, they can share what they have heard. That is how we test listening, at least in the Indian classroom, where we have a very, very large classroom. We dictation, that's what we do. Very, very outdated. We give dictation. And then, we have different types of exercises, which takes time. But then somehow we manage in a large classroom. What we do is normally we just give a passage, and we ask them to read, and then we ask another, have a group discussion. We ask another group to give a gist of what has been read. That's what we do in the classroom.
Okay, so that's there. I think we can also think of other strategies of testing. For example, the one that we use for the business English certification under the Cambridge University assessment exams. We have what is called an audio file where students are made to listen to the audio file.
That's what we do.
Also have, we have fill in the blanks, we have true and false, we have match the columns. And so students listen to the audio file, and they have a sheet of paper and they listen for information. Like you've said, you've also very rightly said, you focus on some of the aspects of listening. So we use that, and the students, they either do a fill in the blank, or they do a match the following, or they do a true and false. But then again, it's not always very easy, where they have to infer the answer. So if they are at an advanced level, they have to infer the answer from the conversation, from the passage that they have read. So it depends at what level are you talking about testing listening, and what is the level of the listener, of the learner. If it is at the basic level, I think, ma'am, you will say that maybe they will be learning how to do pronunciation, minimal pairs, or like you have said, homonyms or homophones. So testing of the two different sounds and so on.
We also use prediction, Jacob, when it comes to listening. I say a sentence, and then I ask them to, to add to it. You just predict what's going to happen to the end. That's what we do also in the class. I mean, at least it's easy. It doesn't take much time also. And we manage in a big class as well. All
right. Great. So we go on to the next question. This is from Sengapati Venkata Krishnanaya. Madam, how can the listening skill in a large class, particularly in rural areas, be improved? I think this is how can you help enhance listening skill in a large class, particularly in rural areas? This is a good question because we have large classes. So how are you going to help?
That is, I think, a common problem everywhere. When we have a large class, sometimes in our college, we have a class of 120 students. And how do you manage? So what we do is, you just break them into groups. Like, for example, on one particular day, a particular group, you have 2-3 groups, they will work on that day. You take just half an hour after class, because it should not cut into class time, because that is the most that they get. So on one particular day, you take a particular group. That is what you do. You divide into groups and you just make them perform on a particular day like that. Otherwise, it's impossible, to have these activities in a large classroom.
I think in most part of the Southeast Asian countries, where large classrooms are the norm, language teaching can become more or less very challenging, because you have difficulties of shortage of resources. You cannot move your desk and your benches, because in some cases they are fixed to the floor. And you have a large classroom where you cannot even make students move from one bench to another bench. So this becomes slightly difficult, and I can understand that whatever tools or strategies we use, we will not be able to actually do a good job of teaching students. But we have tried, and there are ways of working around that situation. And so maybe it will take time, as you've said, dividing them into small sections, dividing them into small groups, or focusing on difficult issues or common errors or common flaws or common problems that students will have. But then it'll take a lot of diagnosing, a lot of checking in order to find out where the listening problems are. And then again, you will maybe we can suggest an approach to how to solve those problems. So I'm just thinking out loud here about the best ways of doing that.
I was just thinking also, like, regarding this question of a large classroom, the teacher can just, read out something and ask the students to write, about what she was talking about. Like, she'll read a story, then you can just write what their reactions to it. And then maybe teacher can see whether they have been listening or not,
Yes, some similar to the TPR method, total physical response.
Okay.
Get up, sit down.
Yeah, I'm not that technical.
Yes. No, I mean, I'm just guessing this, because that is what we learned from Ma'am Baman's session yesterday, the TPR. Okay, anyway, going on we have got more questions for you, ma'am. I hope you'll be able to stay on and give us some more answers to this question. This is from Chitti Babu. And the question is LSRW, the more you listen, the more you speak, the more you read, the more you write. Do you agree with it? If so, how do you make it more relevant to the classroom situation?
Well, as I said, when it comes to skills, we should integrate the skills. So if you listen, you will be able to speak. And once you speak, that decoding, encoding part comes in, you'll be able to read and write. So yes, they should work together and not in isolation.
Okay. This question is from Delphine. During online learning, how can we promote extensive reading? Should the students be provided more orientation towards access to ebooks?
Yes, I mean, nowadays, what else can we do? We have to, give them access to ebooks, because they cannot even go to the library, So yes, if they have access to, connectivity and all that, they can always go to ebooks and learn how to read and, hone their reading skills. A very good question in this, in this time.
I think people who love reading will find ways of reading, whether it's online or offline. I see my niece, she sits with her mobile phone and is on, what's called Wattpad? And she's reading stories after stories from Wattpad. And so, and she's reading a lot of stories from that particular app. So I think it's very much possible, but we also need to teach them some of the skills that ma'am has highlighted on how to read, skimming, scanning, and looking for information accordingly. And yes, so we can promote extensive reading, especially now that most of the apps are being made free, or at least cheaper for people. And there are a lot of materials. In fact, there's an explosion of reading materials on the net, and we can at least point them to the right browser, to the right website, to the right page, to the right content, so that they'll be able to learn from them. Yes, we need orientations. Our students, in fact, not even just students, in fact, teachers also need to be given orientation to how to access ebooks properly. For example, how to find PDF files, how to find textbooks that are completely for free. So, and if, for example, you can go to Amazon on Amazon.in, and you can look for free Kindle ebooks, and there are plenty of free Kindle ebooks that are for free. So you can download them, you can buy them for zero money, you can buy them, you can download them, and you can read them. Of course, they will not be on every other field of study, but you'll find some really good, interesting stories to read for literature teachers and for language teachers. So yes, we do need a lot of orientation.
Yes, there is an explosion of reading material, but then it is here that we have to choose, we have to make, our discretion, come to the fore. Yeah. What to read and what to discard, I mean, you have to choose wisely. Read something which will, help us.
Correct. I agree with you, ma'am. I think we have a last question from Bekam Dakar. And she says, Madam, what is the solution for those who are slow learner and slow adaptability for listening? Very, very important question. What is the solution for those who are slow learner and slow adaptability for listening?
I think the teacher has to make special, concessions for such students, because learning has to be inclusive. Mm-hmm. We have to see that everyone gets maximum, optimum instruction, which is beneficial. Therefore, we have to see that each learner gets what he or she deserves. So we have to make special concessions. We have to go out of our way. We have to see that everyone is included.
I think, ma'am, you will also agree that in such cases, we will need to find out first what is the problem of the slow learner. Why is
we first have to identify the problem and then redress it.
Okay, ma'am, which of the tests would you use to identify problems of the slow learner? I think you have highlighted some. So what, according to you, would be a good test?
The achievement test, you give them a test, you'll see how they have fared, because achievement test is on what they have been taught, on the course,
Okay.
Like proficiency test is your command of the language, but achievement is on the course that has been taught to you. So if there is any discrepancy, you will know from the result of the test. So it is there that we will have to find out what is wrong and what we can do to remedy. We have to have some kind of remedial, teaching done to see that these issues are addressed.
I think maybe we can use a diagnostic test too, ma'am, maybe for finding which particular area.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So which particular area is causing a problem for?
This is here that evaluation comes in. Like when we evaluate, even the teacher finds out, the effectiveness of a teaching. So if there is anything wrong with how the students are performing, then the teacher has to reflect, and ask herself, where have I gone wrong that this person was not able to, to internalize what I have done? So this is where self-evaluation also comes in for both the students and the teachers.
Okay, so that's great. So what about students who have difficulty listening? Is there a different approach to teaching, to helping such students?
We just
Slow learners is different.
Yes, slow. But then some students they don't listen because they don't want to listen. So we just have to make sure that we make things interesting enough for them to listen.
Okay. All right. So I think with that, we've come to the end of our session. We've had a long discussion on many things pertaining to testing and evaluation. And I'm very sure that we have not been able to answer all the questions to your heart's content, but we have tried and we've done our best to give you our thoughts and opinion on it. And I would like to thank Dr. Sunita Khongwil for having put in the effort to prepare the slide presentation. It's not easy to prepare a slide presentation on topics such as testing and evaluation. Just the word, what is a validity itself can take a lot of time.
Yes.
What is reliability in testing can take a lot of time. And so in a short amount of time, ma'am, you've done your best and you've given us a very good session. We've been able to see the different kinds of tests, the different kinds of things that we can do when we're testing our students. And also you have highlighted those sub-skills, which are very important for us to know, the sub-skills of listening, reading, speaking, and writing. These are something that we need to know. And so far we've just known the big words, listening, reading, writing, speaking, but there are these small important aspects that we also need to keep in mind. So thank you so much, ma'am, for highlighting those very important aspects also of the 4 skills and of language teaching and testing. We have not yet come to the end of our session. We have a short valedictory session, and we are now going to take a look first of all at the top scorers of yesterday's quiz. So a lot of people have attempted the quiz yesterday, and I'm very happy to be sharing the top scores today, and these people's names will be put up on the screen. We will not be able to give you any prizes, any awards, but we are definitely going to put you up on the Hall of Fame of the 6-day National Online Workshop on Teaching of English. So give me a few minutes. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to take a look at the people who have scored 50 out of 50 and 45 out of 50. And there was somebody who said, I should have used a laptop or a computer because when I used my mobile phone, I did not see the last question, so I lost 5 marks. Anyway, you are still in the top 45 out of 50, so be happy. I'm going to share my screen right now, and then we're going to proceed with our valedictory function. So sharing my screen, 1 minute for the top scorers of the quiz yesterday. And I'm very happy to see that many people have been able to actually do well. So I'm sharing my screen. Oops, here it goes. Tell me if you can see it.
Yes.
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Okay, so the top scorers of the quiz are, the top 50 out of 50 scorers are Banri Hun Rintathiang, Lydia M. Dingdo, Magdalene Pungrop, Mrs. Taluri, Pranayaja, Manmuri Goswami, Kshetramayun, Rashlakshmi Devi, Darilinda Umsong, Kaveshri D. Then we have Harshit Paul, we have A. Ample Rose Lingdo, we have Theodora War, Kaveshri GK, Dr. Jaya Ghosh, Shajida, Mubin, Dr. Melissa Walang, LMR Swaruparani. Congratulations, all of you. You have done really well. And we will be inviting 2 out of the top 50 out of 50 scorers to give us a feedback on the workshop. For 30 seconds, you'll be given the privilege to be the co-host, and we will request you to speak for 30 seconds and give your feedback on the workshop. Now, going on to those who have scored 45 out of 50. Whoops, my computer is refusing to move. Yes, there you go. These are the people who have scored 45 out of 50. And so we have Siju, we have Dawanisa, we have Sandrika, Diksha, Darishan, Bachupali, Morning, Bindu, Griselda, Wamphair, Mary. I'm sorry, all of you are respectively taking your name respectfully without the doctor, the Mr. and the Miss. Then we have Elsina, we have Joyti, Kirti. Then we have Joyce, Gurudev, Temlal, Sagar, Alfreda, Chetra, and Luza. Now, since we do not have enough time, we will be inviting only one person from this group to say a few words, during the feedback session. So you'll be getting 30 seconds again to share your thoughts and opinion on the workshop. So if we can have time, we will maybe invite one more person. So we'll take a look at it. If we have enough time, we will do it later. Congratulations, everybody. You've done a good job. So I will stop sharing, and now I will go on to the valedictory session of our final session today. We have come to the end of the 6-day National Online Workshop on Teaching of English. And before we go on to listening to Reverend Brother Dr. Albert L. Dakar, the principal of St. Anthony's College, who will be delivering a short message in this valedictory session, I would like to give you a brief recap of the workshop so far. So I'm going to share my screen again once more. Please bear with me as we come to the end of our session today. So recap of our session. We began preparing for our workshop about 2 weeks ago. And immediately when we received the green signal from Professor Sherwin M. Sungo, the sponsor of this particular workshop, we began sending out invitation, and we received over 500 responses from teachers, students, and others from within the state and from across the country. We are very grateful to St. Anthony's College and especially to Brother Albert for connecting us with the right people and the right institutions. We're also very grateful to our members of the LTI Meghalaya chapters who've sent out their invitation to government officials, also to help us get in touch with school teachers in the state of Meghalaya. So what happened? We crossed the limit, the Zoom limit of 500 seats, and we were not able to take in any more requests, any more submissions. So with that, we had to close very, very late on October 15 so that we will be able to accommodate as many people as we can. So we sent out the Zoom link to 480 people and the link to our YouTube channel to others who we were not able to accommodate in the Zoom link, in the Zoom platforms. We kept about 20 seats for all our organizers, monitors, moderators, and technical assistants. So our online workshop began on the 17th of October. We took a break on Sunday, and then we began again on 19th, and we are ending today, the 23rd of October. We had 6 sessions as intended, which began at 4 p.m. and ended at 5:30-ish every day. We tried to be punctual, and we also tried to end on time, but since we have a lot of questions and a lot of answers to give, we were not able to end exactly at 5:30, but we tried ending early. So on an average, we had about 250 people in attendance every day. There were about 100 people, 210 people joining us over Zoom platform. And in some cases, we had around 100 people joining us through the YouTube link. And we are very grateful for, especially for those people who had to join using the YouTube link. We want to thank you very much for bearing with us and for enduring the inconvenience of not being able to communicate directly with us through Zoom link. But you had posted your comments, and when we ended the session, we went back to look at your comments, and we have taken them down. So thank you so much for bearing with us and for participating with us through the YouTube channel. You have not been ignored. You have not been forgotten. We are very grateful that you have participated through the YouTube channel as well. We had very spirited and encouraging participation and contribution from all the resource persons and attendees throughout the 6 sessions. Then we go on to look at, now look at this. This was the statistic that we received from yesterday's quiz. And we received 112 responses from our attendees until this morning. And up until this morning, about 68.8% said that they attended all the 5 sessions till yesterday evening. So that is a very good response. While there are a few people spread out across the chart, you can see some of them attended 1 session, 3 session, 4 session. And I think other people have also attended in advance 6 session. I mean, how did they do that? We don't know, but they have attended the 6th session as well. So we have been having very good attendance so far, and we are very, very grateful to all of you attendees for being so faithful, regularly joining us and attending our session. So we are very, very grateful to you. So now we are going to go over to inviting Reverend Brother Dr. Albert Eldakar, the principal of St. Anthony's College, to address us as we come to the close of this 6-day workshop. We understand that he, because of prior engagement, will not be able to join us live, but he has taken the effort to have a pre-recorded message ready for us, and we're going to go over to Babluji there, who will be sharing the pre-recorded message with us as we come to the end of our session today. Over to you, sir. Okay, some audio problem. Babluji, can we work on the audio a little bit? Okay, I think we are experiencing some technical. Yes, yes, ma'am. We are experiencing some technical issues with the message. Babluji, can you please do something? Okay.
In such a
Okay, we'll try that once
life-turning
more time.
venture is the privilege of a few chosen people who are willing to make the sacrifices and bear
Can we
the
go back to the
burden and
beginning,
brunt
Babluji?
of engaging.
5.
Sherwin Marisungo, Project Coordinator, Center for Pre-Service Teacher Education, PMMDT, School Education, Nehu, Shillong, Meghalaya, Professor T.K. Kharbaman, Director in charge, the English and Foreign Language University, Shillong campus. Also the President of the English Language Teachers Association of India, Meghalaya chapter. Member of the organizing teams, esteemed attendees, principals, professors, teachers, student teachers, and research scholars. Education, when done in the right way through proper means and by the right people, has the power indeed to bring the right kind of transformation, equipping and empowerment in people's lives within and without the classroom. Being able to participate in such a life-turning venture is the privilege of a few chosen people who are willing to make the sacrifices and bear the burden and brunt of engaging in the tedious and thankless job of imparting education to the many who come under their care and charge. And let's be honest, it is not uneasy at all. In many instances, the challenges of the job can be overwhelming, from shouldering the responsibility of making the syllabus and curriculum comprehensible and relevant to the students to addressing the psychological, emotional, and social issues that could impede learning to adapting to changing environments and policies. Over the years, concepts and roles of teachers have changed to define teachers as performers, managers, facilitators, and whatnot, and they have had to evolve according to stay in the field and to continue doing what they are passionate about. Many teachers do so with very less support and limited assistance from the institutions that they are in and from authorities. This further creates situation and circumstances that poses further challenges for them, many times a pathetic salary, inconvenient working condition, and unmanageable workloads. While there is nothing much that we can do to ease their burden and working conditions, we can at least explore ways to mitigate them by equipping teachers with the right tools, content, and resources that will make the job of transacting the curriculum a lot easier. Seminars, conferences, and in the present context, webinars on method of teaching, lesson planning, evaluation, and so on can help in providing teachers with better and more efficient ways of teaching that can minimize time taken in preparing lessons and efforts in teaching them in the classrooms. Many times the challenges that we face as teachers could result from not knowing such things. We unnecessarily end up belaboring ourselves, no end to achieve a certain goal when a better way of doing it exists and is freely accessible to us. This has been the goal of all the webinars what we have been able to conduct till date as an educational institution, individually and in collaboration with others. You can therefore understand my joy and delight at having been given yet another opportunity to collaborate in hosting a workshop for teachers on the methods of teaching English being the subject of our focus this time. The 6-day national online workshop on methods of teaching English has been a wonderful source of learning for many of us. We have had a very good blend of veteran and young teachers joining us to share their expertise, knowledge, and experiences with us. And each of the session has been very productive and enlightening for all of us indeed. I am also very delighted to note that all of you attendees yourselves are well-established teachers and administrators, and yet humble and happy to learn even more from others. We have seen you engage enthusiastically and meaningfully with the resource persons in every session. By doing so, you have made it an enriching experience for everyone. It is safe to say that the workshop has been a success and something that we can look back to in the future. But then a workshop can only do much and go to a certain length in achieving the goal of training and equipping people. Many times we find ourselves entering a workshop with one set of questions and exiting with another set. And so the journey continues and we are pressed into a different level of exploration. We are inspired to look for more answers, discover new methods and approaches, and adapt old ones to do new things. And no one does this better than teachers. I firmly believe that this workshop has answered some of your questions while at the same time giving you some new ones that you must find answers to in some other workshop or webinar in the days to come. As one of the organizers, I would like to encourage you to continue in this journey of discovery and to share with others what you have found. At the end of the day, the best people to help teachers are other teachers. And if we can come together as a living community and make our resources, knowledge and experiences freely available to other fellow teachers, we will be able to take our jobs to a newer level where it becomes not only one more professional, but life-changing for our students. I would like to express my personal appreciation for the contribution put in by all eminent resource persons, the members of the organizing teams, and the attendees themselves that has made our workshop a rich learning experience. I am deeply grateful to the Center for Pre-Service Teacher Education and Professor May Sungo for sponsoring this workshop, and to LTI Meghalaya chapter for hosting the workshop in such a professional and efficient way. We at St. Anthony's College are proud and honored to have been able to provide technical support to this hosting of this workshop this past 1 week. I would like to thank Reverend Father Joby, Professor Nathaniel Majau, and Professor Bablu Rajak for ensuring that the workshop was conducted without any hiccups. As I close, I would like to congratulate everyone for a very successful workshop. God bless you all and may the learning continues. Evermore, better ever. Thank you and God bless you.
Well, thank you so much, Reverend Brother Albert, for your very inspiring message. And even though you're not here, we will definitely convey our thanks to you for being with us and for sharing your thoughts with us. And I would like to thank Babluji and especially Nathaniel Majau for recording the message for us and for sharing it live on Zoom at this particular moment. We would like to acknowledge the presence of Professor Sherwin M. Sungo, the project coordinator of the Center for Pre-Service Teacher Education under the PMMNMTT School of Education, NEHU. She has been very positive and very much generous in her support to our workshop. She was the one who actually initiated the thoughts about organizing a workshop for teachers, as for English teachers especially, and she wanted to do something on methods of teaching English. And she reached out to us and gave us the idea and gave us the suggestion that we should do something for teachers across the country. And so we were very delighted when we were given this opportunity to host this workshop for the Center for Pre-Service Teacher Education, and especially to receive the generous funding of rupees 1 lakh for this particular program. So ma'am, we are very delighted that you have been able to join us this evening as we come to a close of this workshop. We would like to invite you to say a few words in our midst. What is the one message that you want us to take away with us as we go away from this workshop this evening? And we are very, very grateful to you that you have accepted our very late invitation to join us today. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sparing your valuable time. And so we are looking forward to hearing from you. But before, ma'am, you come on air, we would like to request Banri Hun Rintathyang, Manmayuri Goswami, and Gurudev Kushal to kindly raise your hand so that our colleague Babluji can make you co-host, so that you will be able to share a few words in our midst as a feedback to our workshop. So Banrihun Rintathyang, Manmayuri.
Banrihun, sir, Banrihun is promoted as panelist.
Okay, good.
Gurudev Kushal has
Gurudev is
promoted.
also there, and then we also are inviting Manmayuri Goswami.
She is
These
not
names
there
were
in the list.
chosen randomly. We did not do anything, behind the scene to select these people. We randomly selected them using our own system, and these names have come up. So we are going to have 3 people giving their feedback on the workshop.
So Manmayuri is not here.
Is not here. Then just 1 minute, we will select somebody else to say a few words. If we can have, let's say Kshatrimayun Raj Lakshmi Devi, are you there? If you are there, can you please?
Raj Lakshmi Devi is there.
Yes. So
should I promote her?
Kshatrimayun Raj Lakshmi Devi, are you there? If you can, you please raise your hand, and we will be able to promote you to panelist. Okay, over to you, ma'am, for a few thoughts from you.
Thank you very much, Jacob. A very good evening to all of you, both the participants, the resource persons, and the team from St. Anthony's College. I'm really very happy that you have completed the workshop, the 6 days workshop. And I'm sure that everyone have enjoyed the program, and you have benefited from the different resource persons. And I'm sure that, once you have completed this, I'm sure that you have inculcated different skills or different methods of teaching English. I know 6 days is it's a very short period of time, because, when we try to inculcate different skills and master these skills, it takes a long time. But I'm sure all of the teachers here have got the experience and the expertise to continue with what they have learned, and to polish what they have in them. So we as teachers, we should always make our classroom effective, and if we follow the skills in a more better way, we will be able to attract the attention of our students. And I was just listening to Dr. Kongwer's deliberation. Now, that was a very important topic. And, as teachers, we need to really find the weaknesses of our students. So unless we diagnose their weakness, we will be we will not be able to make our teaching effective. So, what Dr. Kongwer was deliberating upon is a very important issue which we teachers should be able to evaluate our students in a much better way. So, when we lecture, when we teach our students, we should see that all students also benefit from what we are teaching. Now, during this pandemic, I know it's very difficult for us to, teach through the online programs or online classes, because we really do not know how receptive the students are. But, I'm sure that these sessions like these, the webinars and also the programs through different workshops will help us to be able to cope with the teaching inside the classroom. So once again, I would like to thank all the resource persons and also all the participants who have participated in this program. And I'm sure that whatever you have learned, you will keep that in mind and use them whenever it is required. So thank you so much, the St. Anthony's team, LTI, and also the participants for making this program or workshop a success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your thoughts with us, and especially for those very encouraging words. We are very delighted to have you here with us. Now we are going to invite Banri Hun Rintathiang to say a few words in our midst, and then we'll move on to Raj Lakshmi Krishnamayun Devi, and then we will ask Guru Dev Kushal to say a few words. So Banri Hun, can you please unmute your video? We would like to hear you at this moment. Banri Hun, are you there? Okay. Raj Lakshmi, if you are ready, you can come online, unmute your video and unmute your microphone, and we would love to hear from you.
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll just use the audio.
No problem.
No problem.
Wonderful.
So far, for all of the 6 days, it's been very enlightening. And as well as the information given by the resource person, like I'm not exactly an active teaching staff right now, but I hope to be in the future. And it's very good to have this knowledge given to me beforehand, before I go actively out into the field, so that I have time to prepare myself for what the challenges and the joys of that teaching is about to bring into my life. And especially when it regards to like today's presentation about testing, it's been very enlightening, because we have not been briefed on how to test and how to evaluate. And just in the 1 hour that 1 hour of the workshop that we attended, it has opened up new revenues. It has given me new options to choose from, and then to look for what are the qualities, what are the values and measures that I need to check while I'm taking questions or checking or anything, or even teaching in general. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Raj Lakshmi, for your feedback. We are going over to Gurudev Kushal. How are you, sir? Can you say a few words at this moment?
Thank you very much, sir. Hello, am I audible to all of you?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. A very good evening to everyone. I actually feel glad to have this opportunity to say a few words on this platform. The whole 6 days workshop was excellent, really excellent. It was worth listening and engaging, having very insightfully designed materials by experts. And all the sessions were quite energetic and informative, full of spirit and enthusiasm. And particularly the session on teaching poetry by Dr. K. Lango was wonderful. It paves new ways to explore up. The most interesting is the visual poetry, along with visual representation of poetry that Professor Elango taught us during this workshop. And on classroom management by Dr. Apin Sukling ma'am, English and communication skills by Professor Kharbaman ma'am, and today's sessions also very, very informative. On the whole, all the sessions together make a complete whole and cater the needs of participants, as I hope. And this national workshop on teaching English language really brings to our whole and especially works full of practical aspects, activities. And I also thankful to all the members associated with this workshop. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gurudev Kushal, for sharing your encouraging feedback. We will now go over to Banrihun Rintathiang. Are you there? If you can hear us. I think we have lost connection with Banrihun. Let's see if she's here. Otherwise, we will invite one person. I'm trying to reach out to Lydia M. Dingdo if she's there, but I don't see her. Yes, Lydia, can you raise your hand so that we can promote you to co-host? And we will invite you to say a few words on this workshop. So Lydia, can you raise your hand? And Babluji, can you please kindly... Done. Okay, Lydia, you are online and you can now unmute your mic, your video and your microphone. I'm going to pick one more person and I'm just going to call out the name of this person who has been very proactive. And his name is, I think, Nishi. Are you there? If you're there, sir, please raise your hand so that our colleague can also give you co-host privileges so that you can say a few words. Okay, over to you, Lydia.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you unmute your video so that we can see you?
So can I just...
Sure. No problem. No problem. Go ahead.
Giving to all the panelists that are my other attendees. It's a great experience and we have had a lot of
Okay, I think we're experiencing network issues right now. Lydia, Hello, Lydia, can you type in the chat? We are not able to hear you. Your voice is breaking up.
Yes, actually the network issue here.
Okay.
And that's okay. I can do that, so I can just type
Thank you,
in.
thank you, Lydia. But thank you so much for coming online. We will now go over to Nishi Kumar. Sir, if you're there, can you please come online, unmute your video and your microphone? We would like to hear a few words from you.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I'm teaching in a B.Ed college, a college of education, and I teach English.
Okay.
So all the sessions were really, really good. And I really thoroughly enjoyed from day 1 to day 6. It is exactly, I felt, as if I'm standing on the other side of the dais. So the session on 17 on poetry was excellent by Professor Elango, especially the poetries of Robert Frost. They were really stunning and beautiful, and the way he taught poetry was really good. And he added other aspects to poetry. Then the next session was classroom management. Since we are in the B.Ed College of Education, it is a very important subject for us. So this was also done beautifully by Dr. Pencil. Then the other sessions on English and communication skills were really good and very, very motivating and informative. Teaching how to write academic writing. Writing skills are, what we teach to students: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So she was covering only the writing skills, we use constructivism, and she showed us different ways of writing, which were very informative and it added to my knowledge. And the last one was testing and assessment. We have a separate technique for that. We call it assessment for learning. And Madam had really taught very well all types of assessments. She went by, one by one, teaching, especially for English. So I'm very thankful that I could attend all the 6 days, and I'm very, very happy. I feel very fulfilled, and thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very much.
Thank you, Nishi, for your very encouraging remarks. We are very grateful to have you also with us. We're also very grateful to have all of you attendees with us during the workshop. If you can see that many of you are slowly being promoted to panelists, we are going to have a group photo session very soon, but not right away. I now have the privilege and the pleasure of proposing the vote of thanks. So please allow me to share screen. We are going to propose a vote of screens for vote of thanks for a minute. So just allow me to do this, and then we shall go on to the group photo. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, great. Okay, first of all, I would like to thank God for blessing all of us with good health and for enabling us to attend this workshop. These are trying times and difficult times, and if not for the grace of God and for His blessings, we will not have been here. We will not have been able to conduct this workshop and to have wonderful resource persons taking every single session. We would not have you attendees participating in this workshop, and definitely we would not have the technical support of two wonderful people and of the college which has enabled us to host this workshop online, and also we would not have the funding and the sponsorship to host this particular workshop. So we are very grateful to God for blessing us, for being with us, and for enabling us to have this particular workshop for the last 6 days. And we also would like to thank Professor Sherwin M. Sungo, the project coordinator of the Center for Pre-Service Teacher Education, in a very, very special way through her grant that was sponsored by the Pandit Madan Mohan Malavia National Mission on Teachers and Teaching. She has been able to support this workshop, and we have been able to bring it to you and to share the vast expertise of our resource persons with you. So we would like to thank Professor Sherwin M. Sungo in a very special way for reaching out to us, for giving us the green signal in a very short amount of time, and for especially sending her funding ahead of the program, even before the program had gone on air. She had already sent her support to us. So ma'am, thank you so much for your very encouraging support, your generous and thoughtful initiative that you have placed before us, and we have definitely been able to make full use of the support that you've given to us. Thank you so much, ma'am, for doing this for us and through us, and for all the attendees who've been able to attend the program. So thank you so much, ma'am. We would also like to thank the organizers under the leadership of Professor T.K. Karbaman, the president of the English Language Teachers Association of India Meghalaya chapter. We have been able to accept the invitation that we received from Professor Sherwin M. Sungo, and we sat down, and under the leadership of Professor Karbaman, we prepared this workshop. We invited people, we contacted resource persons, and we made this we brought this workshop into what it is now for the last few days. And so we are very grateful to all the members of the LTI Meghalaya chapter, and especially to Professor T.K. Karbaman, who herself took 2 of the sessions of the workshop, and we have been able to learn a lot from her, from the sessions that she took. We also would like to thank Reverend Brother Dr. Albert L. Dakar, the principal of St. Anthony's College, Reverend Father Dr. Joby Joseph, the rector of our college, who gave their wholehearted support to our proposal, and who also ensure that we had the technical assistance of Assistant Professor Nathaniel N. Majau and Assistant Professor Bablu Rajak, who is also the System Administrator of St. Anthony's College. And we are very grateful to these 2 faculties for their assistance and for their guidance in preparing and hosting the online workshop that we've had for the last 6 days. And so we want to thank them. We want to thank Brother Albert, we want to thank Father Joby, Nathaniel, and Bablu for once again for their technical support. We also would like to thank all the resource persons, beginning with Professor K. Ilango, Dr. Pinsuk Lings Imyong, Professor T.K. Karbaman, Mrs. Christina Wanying, and Dr. Sunita Khongwir for accepting our invitation, and especially for shouldering the responsibility of preparing such wonderful, insightful, and meaningful presentations, and for also engaging with us during the Q&A session, and for sharing their thoughts and sharing their knowledge and experiences with us. We have been able to learn a lot from all of them, and we have been truly blessed to have them as our resource persons. We also would like to thank all our attendees, all the 530 attendees who showed keen interest in our workshop. And even though many of them could not join us, I believe due to the technical issues that are there, we want to thank all the principals of all the schools, faculty members, student teachers and students who have participated in this workshop from day one until today. We want to thank you very, very much from the bottom of our heart. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for making every single session very meaningful and very productive, for sharing your experiences with us, for sharing your knowledge with us, for sharing your feedback, for responding to the questions put by our resource persons to you, and for participating in every way possible in our workshop. And you have made our workshop a success. And at the end of the day, we would not have been able to keep track of your chat had it not been for 3 wonderful people who acted as monitors of our chat box. Violence, AIM, Awareness Pakistan, and Skaira Riba. These are very wonderful people who worked behind the scene, and they were the one who keep track of all the chats, of all the feedback, of all the suggestions and all the ideas that you've put on the chat box, and they conveyed them to us so that we were able to take a look at each one of them. And so we also would like to thank them for sharing their valuable time with us and for enabling us to host this workshop very meaningfully and in a very wonderful way. So we pray that God will bless you, each and every single one of you, in a very special way, with good health, with a prosperous life, with safety, with his choicest blessing, and keep you doing what you're doing as teachers, as teacher educators, as student teachers in the days to come. So I've come to the end of my vote of thanks, and now we are going to go to a group photo, and I believe my dear colleague has been able to make everybody panelists. And
yes, sir. It is
yes,
done.
thank you so much, Babluji, for doing the hard work behind the scene. Now, everybody, can you please unmute yourself? Unmute only your videos. We will not be able to capture your audio. So only your videos. We will take a photo, and then I will go next. We'll go on to the next person, and then we will take a group photo again and go on to the next person. All right. So everybody, we want to see you. So even if you feel that you have not dressed up for this particular session, please don't worry. I am also not as dressed up as you think I am. So please unmute your video and let's take a photo. And here I am with my mobile phone. I see Jesslyn Kongla. Can you please unmute your video? Jesslyn Kongla, it does not really matter if we can see just half of your face, is okay, or just your forehead is okay. We need to see you on the video. All right, are you there? So here is me taking a photo. Everybody say cheese. Okay, cheese. Done. Okay, I'm going on to the next page. Page number 2. Oh, great, wonderful. We have a good mix of people. Okay. Once again, Liahun. Okay, oh, it's changing. I think there's some problem with the internet connection. All right, I'm gonna take a picture very quickly before some of you disappear because of the internet connection. There you go. Again, say cheese. Great, smile please. Wonderful. Going on to the next page. We have got 4 pages of people attending this program. Okay, ready? Please unmute your videos. Unmute your videos. Okay, Salit. Okay, wow. I'm not able to see some people. Shubha, Pinsuklin, Ma'am Karbaman, Tapasi, Anita, Cherik, Helen, Alfreda, can you unmute your view? Yes, I can see Erica. Reggie Fulthongni. Okay, wonderful. There you go. Okay, moving on to the next page. Yes, okay, okay. Okay, we have Dr. T. Chandrasekhar, Imirlang Layahun Rikantilang. Okay, are you there? Great. Okay, we are done. We are done with taking the photos. We have now come to the end officially of the session. But just before we go, we just got Ma'am Tiki Baman joining us a few minutes. And as the president of the English Language Teachers Association of India, Meghalaya chapter, she being the president, it would not be right for us to end this program without hearing a few words from Professor T.K. Karbaman, the president of the LTI Meghalaya chapter. The LTI being one of the organizers of this workshop. We would like to hear a few words from her before we sign out. Ma'am, can you come on air and say a few words to us before we go?
Thank you very much, Jacob. I just managed to reach home just before the closing. I'm so grateful to God for giving me this opportunity. I thought I would be missing the program, this closing program, but fortunately I've reached just on time. So I take this opportunity to thank Professor Singh. I'd written in the chat for believing in LTI. I thank Dr. Albert St. Anthony's College for the support, the team from St. Anthony's College. And I also take the opportunity to thank all the attendees, the participants. I hope what has been going on the last 6 days has been meaningful to you. Reflect upon what you've learned, what you've heard, and use them and apply them. This is just the beginning. Go ahead and try out the different techniques and strategies you've been taught. This is not the end, it's just the beginning to a very exciting venture in professional development. So all the best, my dear attendees, and of course, the resource persons, Dr. Elango, my very good friend, and of course, Dr. Pinsuk, Ms. Christina, Dr. Sunita. Unfortunately, I missed your session, but I'm sure it had been very, very good. And of course, I thank Mr. Jacob Schiller for being the compeer, the host, the support, all through the 6 days workshop. Congratulations, Jacob. Congratulations to the team as a whole. And we know that this is not going to be the end. It will be the beginning of another more exciting venture with the belief and the support of Professor S.M. Singer. So we look forward to more support from you, ma'am. Once again, I congratulate all the attendees, the resource persons, the Anthony's team, and of course, hats off to Professor S.M. Singer. It wouldn't have been possible if she wasn't there. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for those wonderful words. And on that note, we are going to end, but definitely we are not going to end the meeting. I've just put up the link to the feedback form and to the quiz part 2 of today's session. Can you please log in to the feedback form? We have a long form, but we request you to patiently, honestly, and very thoughtfully fill up the feedback form, and also to complete the quiz for today's session. So we are going to be here. We're going to be here for another 10 minutes. We're going to allow you to log in to the feedback form. So the link to the feedback form is being put up right now as we speak. You can now mute your videos and mute your audios and start working on the feedback form. You have the whole of this evening to fill the feedback form and to send it back to us. Please give us 2 days to get all the certificates ready. And as soon as they are ready, we will start sending them out to all of you. So it will take us 2 days to at least get the certificates ready, to get the details ready. We do not want to make any spelling mistakes. We do not want to get any emails wrong. We do not want to get any certificate getting mixed up, you know, the certificate of one person going to the email of another person. So we want to be sure. So do not be in a hurry. If it takes some time, do not worry. We will definitely get you your certificates and we will mail them to you. So please take another 10 minutes to click the link that we have put up on the chat box, fill up the feedback form, and also the quiz for part 2. So you can unmute, or you can mute your video and you can mute your audio and go on to the link for the feedback form and the quiz for today. So thank you so much. We'll be putting up a video, the end of the video, end of the session video now. And in the meantime, you can all slowly log out as you finish filling up the feedback form. And if you have not got the link to the feedback form, it's in the chat box. You can look at it and you can start filling on the details. Thank you so much, all attendees, for being with us. It has been a pleasure, a joy, and a privilege. So from us in Khasi, we say Kublai, which means God bless you and thank you very much. And so this is me saying Kublai, Namaste, God bless you,
Thank you, Jacob sir.
Good, all the best, and may God bless you with good health. Stay safe, stay home, and
thank you, Jacob sir.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you, thank you. Goodbye, good evening, and have a very good evening. Sir.
Well done, well done.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Jacob.
you all.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the YouTube link is being put up right now by Awareness Pakistan monitor, so you can take a look at it. By the way, all the sessions are available online on our YouTube channel at St. Anthony's College, Shillong, Meghalaya. You can go there, you can check it out, and you can rewatch all the sessions that I've had so far. St. Anthony's College, Shillong, Meghalaya. That is the YouTube channel that we have, and all the sessions of this workshop are available there. Okay,
So,
one more minute and we're going to sign out of Zoom, and that will be the official ending of our workshop for this year. I mean, no, for just today. We'll be coming up with more workshops in the future, and we hope that we'll be able to see many of you coming back. So just one more minute, and then we will be signing out of the workshop. Putting up the link once more. Those of you who are watching on YouTube can also find the link to the feedback form. It has been put up by Babluji just now. I think you'll be able to find it there. Great, awesome. So I hope that you've been able to get the feedback link and that nobody has missed it. So we are going to keep on hitting the chat box with the link, and to ensure that everybody has got the link to the feedback form before we sign out. We do not want to sign out with somebody still looking for the link, and we hope that everybody will be able to participate and get their feedback to us, and also to participate in the quiz part 2. Okay, we are going to sign out now. I'm going to request Babluji to kindly end the workshop for us from there.
Okay, sir. Signing out.
Signing out
Thank
from
you.
St. Anthony's College, from LTI, and from the CPTE, Center for Pre-Service Teacher Education. Goodbye, everyone.